If there's one feature that got released in 2025 and is changing the game in terms of task management and time management in ClickUp, it's calendars. You can now see your team's availability in ClickUp, schedule events with them, and even create focus time for you to stay productive into your day-to-day, or bring in tasks from your ClickUp lists into your calendar. That allows you to connect seamlessly Outlook or Google Calendar with your ClickUp and just have one single app to handle both your task management and your day-to-day organization and scheduling. And if you don't know me already, my name is Ramzi and I'm a ClickUp verified consultant and founder of Upsys. Upsys is an agency that helps companies set up solid workflows through project tools like ClickUp, automations using make.com, and AI using agents and modern LLMs. Now, if you're interested about having more solid systems in your business, you can book a discovery call with us and we'll be happy to help you out. The link is down in the description. With that said, let's go straight into calendars in ClickUp. Now, the first thing you want to do is open up ClickUp, and here in the very top, you're going to see a calendar icon. Should be here or here in the middle, depending on your UI. The ClickUp UI is changing, so as you're watching this video, it might be laid out a little bit differently, but you should see a calendar icon in here, and opening it up will show that onboarding screen. So it shows you what you can do, so you can join your meetings from ClickUp, automate meeting notes, block time for your tasks, or schedule time and meetings with your team. Now, what it does is basically it brings in the Google Calendar or Outlook Calendar feature, and then on top of that, it adds task management and note-taking from ClickUp. So it's awesome because it's kind of bridging the gap between your day-to-day, your events, but you can also bring in your existing tasks into your calendar and also let the ClickUp AI Notetaker join your meetings and schedule meetings with AI natural language. So I'm gonna guide you through how to set up your calendar. And the first thing I want you to do is actually not in ClickUp, it's in your calendar tool. What I like to do is go into my calendar tool, and before I connect it with ClickUp, create a brand new calendar. So this is my regular scheduling calendar that you can see here, and I want to add a new one. So I'm going to add a new one. I'm going to call it ClickUp Tasks. And to do so, you're going to go into your settings. If you're using Google Calendar, for Outlook, it might be a little bit different, but at Upsys, we're using Google Calendar. So I'm going to go into settings, and here I'm going to add a new calendar. So I'm going to create a new calendar and call it ClickUp Tasks. This will be useful later down the line because I'll be able to add my ClickUp task straight into that calendar so that my actual events and meetings are in a different calendar than my ClickUp task. And I feel like it's easier for organizations and to separate concerns. So I'm going to create my calendar, and that should take a few seconds. Calendar created. All I'm going to do is go to configure, and then I'm just going to pick a different color for that calendar. So in here, I'm gonna pick maybe something purple, something noticeable, different from the blue color. And from now, I have a brand new calendar here. So I have my events calendar and my ClickUp tasks calendar. I'm gonna go into maybe next week and schedule an event in here. I'm gonna create an event at 9 a.m., for example, and call it Team Sync. I'm gonna invite a bunch of people. So I'm gonna add some people from the team. Maybe you can add Ramzi, and maybe Anya, and click save. I'll click send, and that will create an event for these people. It's gonna create a Google Meet, and this is native to Google Meet. But what's cool is that this event is gonna appear in ClickUp once we connect our calendar. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back in ClickUp, and I'm gonna connect Google Calendar. So as I said, clicking on the top right on the calendar icon and then connect my calendar, I'm gonna be able to pick it. So I'm gonna pick this one, and then click continue, and then allow whatever it asks me for to be able to create events or things like that. I'm gonna click continue and authorize this. That should create the connection between Google and ClickUp Calendar, and you're ready to get going. It does take a few seconds to show up events, but as you can see, my events are popping up here. And if I go into next week, you can see that that Team Sync is appearing, and we have even the guests appearing and the Google Meet link. So that allows me to join that event later down the line when that meeting is getting started. And if I were to go in my ClickUp context, in any list or anything, in here on the top, it will display a pop-up that the event is starting soon. And that's a quick way to join your events and join your meetings for ClickUp. Now let's get back to our calendar. Let's try to create an event with someone from ClickUp. I'm gonna do the exact same thing that I did in Google, but in here, in the ClickUp context. So I'm gonna add an event in here at about the same time, and here I can add participants. But what if I want to know when they're available? If they're part of your team, all you have to do is go to Planner. What I can do is click Meet With here and pick the people I want to join for that meeting. I'm gonna select them, I'm gonna see their availability. I can add a bunch of people, I can add 2 or 3 people if I wanted to, and I can see that there's empty gaps here. And those empty gaps are the times where they can join for meetings. For example, I can schedule the event here from 9 to 10 because they are available. So I can send an invite to that event, and instead of focus time here, we're gonna click event. And as you can see, because I've selected Meet With, it's already added the people I wanna join by default. So they're in here, and that meeting has a name here. It's the default name with every participant, but you can pick another name. You can call it Client Meeting Prep, and then that Client Meeting Prep event is gonna be created. What you can do is also link up existing tasks. So you can link up an existing open or closed task, for example, and click Send Invite. What's gonna happen is that event is gonna be created, this invite is gonna be sent, and if I were to go to Google now, it's popping up in here. So that event that was created in ClickUp is also created in here, and the people are invited, and I can join that event. The next thing I will show you is that not only can you see your team's availability from ClickUp or create events, but you can also bring in your tasks into your day-to-day by creating task events to be able to have some sort of focus time. So you can have a general focus time if you wanted to. If you were to pick a time slot and say Wednesday is my focus time, you're gonna pick a slot, and instead of event here, you're gonna click focus time, and that will actually create a dedicated event for you to focus on. I can call it personal focus. And that way I can choose to decline new meetings or invites and just focus and create some sort of buffer in my day. I use that feature quite a lot, and I pick my mornings as a focus time. Most of the time the team cannot reach me in mornings just because I want to tackle some client tasks. So I'm gonna choose to decline new and existing meetings and click Save. It will create an event that I can actually see here in Google Calendar called Personal Focus. If I were to change the calendar as well, I could put it in the ClickUp Tasks calendar in here. That way I know that it comes from ClickUp. And if you want to change your default calendar in here, you can also do it by changing the calendar in the settings and picking your ClickUp Tasks calendar instead of your team@upsysconsulting.com calendar. What I personally do is I use the last selected calendar. That way I'm able to create events and then pick the calendar that I want here before I'm creating the event. It gives me more flexibility. And as I told you earlier, I advise you to create a dedicated calendar for your ClickUp tasks instead of the regular general calendar that's more for events and team meetings and client meetings. For me, what's in blue is client and team meetings. What's in purple is either focus or ClickUp tasks. So that brings us to the next feature, which is the ability to add ClickUp tasks into your calendar. So instead of just a general focus time, what I can do is actually pick a task for my ClickUp lists. In here, I have access to the whole ClickUp context, and instead of picking the personal list, for example, I can pick the web design space and go into ongoing folder, and then pick some of the to-do for my clients. I can even filter things out and say, I want to focus on whatever is in the batch now. If you don't know about the batch methodology, there's actually some dedicated videos about it. It's a method we use at Upsys, and that allows us to kind of slot the work we have to focus on in this week's work. That way I can filter out the tasks that matters. So for example, I can see these tasks for clients that are in the now batch, the web agency project, the website design, and the SEO. So I'm gonna put this one in the afternoon, for example, and I can even span it over a longer amount of time, can put it over 3 hours, and then the website design, as I said, here, and then maybe the SEO here. So I can kind of create slots to focus on for clients or for personal work and just have it look clean here. And if I were to go to Google Calendar, I'll see them appear in here. So they'll just be scheduled and appear, and I can just change our calendar if I wanted to from here, or just setting the correct calendar in here in ClickUp. every change I'm doing in Google Calendar appears in ClickUp and vice versa, as I've explained. So I can see here that I have some client meetings. I have some tasks that I didn't put in the right calendar. I should have done that in the first place, but it's okay. I can always change that later down the line with this dual calendar system. So as you can see, it's appearing, it's not purple, and I have some client meetings beginning of the week. I have some actual tasks to work on in here. So I have kind of a mix of events and tasks calendars. One last thing I can do is say I'm going away on Friday, I have PTO, I can actually create an event here, and instead of task or focus time, I can create an out of office event. So I can say holidays, for example, and say from 9 to 6, that way nobody bothers me. I'm gonna decline new and existing meetings. I'm gonna say as a decline message, I'm away and will get back on Monday. If I click save, that's gonna create an out of office event. And if I were to go to Google Calendar, I can see that I have time blocked and meetings declined appearing here on the 29th. So as I said, events, tasks, and out of office events can be created straight from ClickUp. I feel like that's amazing, and that's already a game changer compared to just having your events in one tool and having your tasks in another. Being able to time block things is a key to productivity for me. It really lets you focus on what matters and kind of time bound your to-do, which is better in my opinion. So we've created our events in here. I'm gonna show you a few more features that are leveraging AI into ClickUp Calendar. The first one that's super cool is the AI Notetaker. So we're gonna be able to pick a calendar, and as soon as we have events popping up in that calendar, ClickUp is gonna join the meetings. Now, obviously it requires for you to pay for the AI Notetaker in your ClickUp. It's way cheaper than a Notetaker subscription. So I feel like this is super cool, and being able to pick a calendar and just have it join your events straight from ClickUp seems very, very seamless. Now, once you have connected your Notetaker, you can actually go into your settings here and have a name. So you can call it Ramzi's Notetaker, you can have a specific name, and you can also pick a join message. That's a message that people will receive. So I can say, hey, I'm taking notes from Ramzi. So that's just creating a little message into Google Meet or into Zoom, just as an introduction that there's a Notetaker. If you're familiar with Notetaker tools, they all do that to kind of prevent the user from not realizing they're being recorded. So I'm gonna click save, and I'm not gonna join a meeting in this video, but I'm gonna show you the result of a note-taked meeting. I've just opened some notes taken by the ClickUp Notetaker. And what it does is that it's creating a full page in a dedicated ClickUp doc. I feel like it would be even better, and ClickUp, if you're listening, please set this up, to have all those pages go into a dedicated doc instead of creating a new page for each event, because I always have to kind of move those pages to a dedicated doc. So I recommend you to do the same. But with that said, it's already pretty cool. So it's gonna tell you who are the attendees, what's the meeting about, what are the key takeaways. And what's really interesting and really integrates ClickUp well with this note taking is that all of these next steps that it's creating, you can either tackle them from here, obviously, but you can also create a task out of them. Complete and return the feedback form, for example, can be created as a task. So being able to select that content from your page and click create tasks and just add it to the right list, it really integrates well the calendar and the note-taking features into ClickUp. Not only are you saving a seat from another note-taking tool, but you're also able to just quickly turn these notes into tasks. And I feel like that's really speeding up my workflow, and just having one tool to manage your events, manage your meetings, manage your note-taking just makes everything so much faster once you grasp it and once you use it well. So as you can see, we have those next steps, and we have also key topics that are kind of like labeled. If it's a problem, maybe it's more important and we have to tackle it quickly. And in here, as you can see, there's a next step called schedule the dashboard review meeting for September 20th at 8 a.m. What I'm gonna do is select this and go into ClickUp Brain on the bottom right, and I'm gonna paste that instruction. And what it's gonna do is schedule that event for me. And I find that super cool because I feel like there's no AI that's able to connect your calendars and just create events for you and have context of your tasks and your day-to-day and your client work. So if you're an agency or service business that's working in ClickUp, it's so cool to be able to have this appearing. So what I'm going to do now is actually tell him to use this user account. I have 2 accounts connected with the same name, so it's just making sure that it's inviting the right person, and then it's created the event. If I were to open the calendar and go to the 28th, I should be able to see it. Now it's Sunday, so it doesn't make any sense, but it's fine. The event is in here and the person is invited, and I can tell him to add another person, for example. So if I were to say add Anya, which was in the event, it knows from the context of the transcript that she was in there, and it's going to add her to the event. And now if I were to go to the actual event on the 20th, I can see that the person has been invited and we have 3 people in the meeting. Now I can say add some agenda to the meeting. And what it's going to do is it's going to get the context from the document and it's going to add an agenda. I'm going to say add agenda items. The point is, if I were to open up my calendar again and go to the event on that same day, I'm going to see more info popping up. So the agenda, I can also see it in Google Calendar. The agenda is in here with all the details. So every time I'm asking ClickUp Brain something about that event, it knows about the context, it can invite extra people, it can add some details. And that's really a time saver for me and a power feature because I don't have to remember about that meeting or just go into my Google Calendar, set the event myself, and so on and so forth. So that's it for calendars in ClickUp. You now know exactly how to connect your calendar, how to create new events, how to see your team members' availability, or even create focus time for your own task, and you can leverage the full potential of ClickUp and the calendar feature. Now, I hope this helped you out, and I hope you can now master calendars in ClickUp and set up your own. It only supports Google and Outlook for now. Maybe they'll add some other providers in the future, but it covers most of your companies and businesses. You're probably already on Outlook or on Google. And if you're not already, it might make sense to move and to make a shift if you're using ClickUp, because not only you're going to have a calendar integration, but you can also have the universal search with Google Drive, for example, if you're using all the Google services. And I'm pretty sure you're now realizing that you're not using ClickUp to its full potential if you haven't used features like the calendar, the AI, different dashboards, task views, and everything. So if this feels intimidating, you can learn about how to become better on ClickUp by yourself, thanks to a course we've made. It's called ClickUp Master, and it's a full-on course chunked up in modules to be digestible and for you to go from beginner to pro in ClickUp. But if you don't want to set up ClickUp by yourself and get to understand every single feature to be able to decide which one matters to you, you can just book a discovery call with us and we'll see if you're fit for the UpSys consulting approach. And if you are, we can set up ClickUp for you and create a full-on, efficient ClickUp build for your business, as well as set up automations and AI agents if we realize it makes sense and saves you time. So if you're interested about saving time in your day-to-day, go deeper into ClickUp with ClickUp Master or book a call with UpSys if you're ready. Now, thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in another video. And until then, stay productive.